So, in that sense, you are God. I know you won't believe me, and that's probably blasphemy to a lot of people. So, when we analyze ourselves, when we investigate into the nature of our lives, most of us think that we are the same thing as our minds. Now, that's the biggest problem. All of our troubles stem from this misidentification with our psychological structure, our mental states. Now, the reason why that's problematic is because it's not actually true. Now, why is that not true? Why are we not the same thing as our minds? Because our minds are constantly changing. Our minds are constantly a constant and incessant stream of thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions, all of which arise to the mind, within the mind. Now, that which is aware of the mind, that which is aware of thought, that which is aware of feelings, that which is aware of sensations, that which is aware of perceptions, that thing itself is not a thought, feeling, or perception. So if we analyze our experience, there's the body, the mind, and the world. And then there's something which is aware of the body, mind, and the world. There's something which the body, mind, and the world appear to, right? So, for example, on some days we're blissfully happy. Next day we're sad and depressed, and then one day we're anxious, and the next day we're excited. And our thoughts, our mental states are constantly changing. But there is something here right now to explain or to relay that there has been there's something which has witnessed that change. Because if you were your mind, then you would say your identity is a thought, and you're not a thought, because thoughts change. You know, sometimes you're anxious, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're peaceful, sometimes you're excited. So that which is changing is not essential to you. So when we investigate the nature of the self, once the self, the I or the me or the thing we call I, once that thing is divested of misidentifications, then what remains is just the pure blissful awareness, or the pure self. Now that pure self is pure love. That's why Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven, or the kingdom of God, does not come with observation, nor will they say, see here or see there, for indeed the kingdom of heaven is within you. So it's a bit of a paradox, because the self cannot be known through the mind. I know this is getting a bit hectic, but the self, the true self, the real self, not the egoic self, which is constantly changing, and not the mind, not the memory, not the body, which is always changing and undergoing different states, but that which is inherent to you, which is intangible, which is unchanging, which is imperishable, that thing is one and the same with reality, or God, to use religious language. But the reason why we can't know it is because it is not an object. The mind is an object to awareness. Awareness being I, or me, or you. The mind is an object that appears to awareness. The body is an object that appears to awareness. The world is an object that appears to awareness. Now, the reason why we don't feel ourselves to be this loving, peaceful, blissful presence of awareness, which is our true nature, the reason why we don't feel ourselves to be that is because this habit of misidentification with the body and mind is so deeply rooted into us that it's hard to think of ourselves as anything different or more than that. But if we simply do this exercise in self-inquiry and trace back the layers of our direct experience, we come to realize, oh, well, of course I'm that which is unchanging. Of course thoughts and feelings come and go. Of course my identity has changed since I was a 5-year-old to a 10-year-old to an adolescent to an old man. Of course there is something still here, present, which can say, yes, there has undergone a change. And then some people say, well, I guess what I'm calling I is my memory. But memory can change. Memory is faulty. Your intellect is changing. The contents of your intellect is changing. The quality of your intellect is changing. You know, when you get old, there's like Alzheimer's. So your memory is faulty. Your intellect is changing. Your mind is just a constant stream of, or constant bundle of thoughts and feelings. Your body is changing every second is growing. Think about your body size when you were a 5-year-old. Think about your body size when you're a 25-year-old. But there's something which was aware within that 5-year-old version of yourself, which is also aware now. Okay, so now, how this relates to love is because when we trace back the layers of our experience, we find that, yes, I am that unchanging presence of awareness, which is simply observing the mind. And that is pure love. That is pure being. In Sanskrit, they call it Satchitananda, which means knowledge, existence, bliss. Your true nature is nothing but knowledge, existence, and bliss. But we get lost in the contents of experience. We get lost in the mental drama of the mind. Let me give you a quick analogy and I'll wrap this up. If we think about our experience when we go to the cinema, the movies, or say we're watching a movie, the screen of the movie is always there, is always untarnishable, but the movie is projected onto the screen and the movie changes. The scenes are changing, the people in the movie are changing, the drama of the movie is changing, but the screen upon which the movie is being projected is always present, always peaceful. Even when the movie ends, the screen remains. And the screen knows nothing of the drama of the movie. The screen is not affected by the drama of the movie. In the same way, the self, of which you are, of which we call I, is completely unaffected by the drama of the mind. The self is completely untarnishable, untouchable, unaffected. And that is who you are, truly. That is your true nature. And that is made of love. When we investigate internally into the nature of I, we realize that that which is unchanging, which I call I, is in direct relationship with the external world, which is unchanging. If we look at the external world, the cars, the roads, the buildings, the phenomenal, the objects, they've been created, they've been preserved, and they'll also die. But there's a force in this reality which is unchanging. We could call that God, Brahman, Allah, the Tao, Yahweh, the substratum of reality which is unchanging, the invisible hand which is dictating life. Now, there's a correlation between my individual self, the unchanging I, and the external world, the unchanging reality. They are one and the same. They're not two things. They are one thing. In Sanskrit, they call it Atman and Brahman. So, in that sense, you are God. I know you won't believe me, and that's probably blasphemy to a lot of people. But God lives inside of you. So you are you are God wrapped in finite clothing, and identifying ourselves with the limited, finite mind, body, and ego structure, and the separate self. But once that is divested and we come back to our true nature, we realize, oh, of course, God and me are one and the same. There's no separation. And then as a consequence of that realization, this judgment and criticizing and all morality gets checked and put in place as a consequence of finding our true nature, which is pure love. Okay, thank you.